and we'll sit and talk about shit, everyday bullshit.
Welcome back to the Virginia Cannabis Connection. As always, I'm your guy on the couch, Joe Parsons. Joining me today by special request is Sherman the Cat. Now, this episode is going to be dedicated to the Virginia 420 Festival and how it went down, or in this case, how and why it did not go down. So here's how it all began. For me, I started to get a sudden flood of new comments coming on the Virginia 420 Festival's Facebook page. So I decided to check it out, and first thing I saw was the Roots of Creation Grateful Dub Band. That was the Thursday night headlining band at Garrett Farms. They posted that the event was suddenly canceled. That started an immediate avalanche of posts from vendors and artists alike, everybody just wanting answers. Now, as one of the first media outlets with Pro Cannabis Media, I reached out myself to the head of the event coordinator, Winston Marsden, to see if it was just Garrett Farms that was canceled, or if indeed both events were actually canceled. Now, as I thought, he probably didn't want to speak to the media at that time, so he never reached back out to me. So as this story began to grow, I decided to go ahead and go out to Garrett Farms on the scheduled launch day and speak with Vice President of Garrett Farms, Ian Hill, on how the event broke down so suddenly and so quickly. He was very happy and reached out and gave his feelings on how he truly believes that Winston believed that this event was going to be epic and how he wished things would have been different. But when the investors pulled out, they had nothing to pay the vendors, they had nothing to pay the artists, they had nothing to pay anybody due to extremely poor pre-ticket sales. And this was too risky for the sponsors. So here's a little bit of that footage exclusively with me and Ian Hill. What is your largest regret from all this?
My biggest regret is last summer I was floating down the river on a kayak, and I got a phone call from Winston Marsden, and he says, hey, I want to throw a 420 festival on your farm. And it started a process that led us to where we are today. And through the whole process, Winston has been pushing, and his heart and soul and everything that man is got put into this event. And the unfortunate circumstances were, yeah, some bad decisions got made. Yeah, the money wasn't there. It was done wrong, for sure. But it doesn't change the fact that this man put his heart and soul into this. And he has taken every bit of the rap for it right now. And it sucks. Because he was in control of the entire thing. So he's taking the rap for it right now. If everybody gets their money back, I just wish that he could come up here and stand on stage and see what amazing thing is about to happen over here over the next 2 days, because this will be the festival that the fans saved. There's no other way to put it. And I wish that he could stand there and see what he helped to create.
Has anyone heard from Greg McCauley?
I have talked to Greg once or twice since the event.
What is Greg's views on this?
Greg is still, ever since, he gets as many phone calls as I do, pretty much.
Yes, sir.
He's been dealing with the vendors. He had personal relationships with every vendor, Misty Mountain, Garrett Farms, all of them. Either he or I has talked to every single one of them individually.
Excellent.
So we knew all of them, and one of the mistakes that anybody can acknowledge was how the festival was canceled. Definitely wasn't handled the most professional way, but you got to understand too, the emotions are going so high right now. No one's thinking really clearly. So, I've almost cried twice since we've had this stupid interview. And it's not, Greg's been just trying to field all the vendor calls and make sure that the vendors are aware that there's still something going on. We're trying to help everybody get their money back. But again, I've never seen money. I've never seen an invoice from the farm. I don't know anything about any of that. I found out about the cancellation of the event when I was going to pick my kid up from school. I get a phone call from a vendor that says, hey, the event just got canceled. Is that real? And that's how I found out the event had formally gotten canceled.
One of the artists contacted me and said, is this real? And I'm like, I don't know. So I called Winston immediately, and I haven't gotten anything back. But I knew that right now the media is not who he really wants to speak to, so I am completely understanding of that.
And we all play our own roles and everything. I was one of the owners of the venue. I got all kinds of communication shut down about 3 days before the announcement got made. I briefly talked to both of them. Obviously, the emotions are going wild right now.
Yes.
And so I got a bad vibe that everything was going down. When I got that call from the vendor, my emotions were not accurate because my emotions was a sigh of relief. And, just this whole burden had been lifted off of me because I was afraid I was going to wake up, walk out in my backyard on Friday, and all these bands were going to show up, and there wasn't going to be any money to pay them, and they were going to not play. And then I've got X amount of people in my backyard that are just pissed, rightfully so. And then dangerous situations start, right? So the fact that everything got ended before it started was, in my opinion, a blessing. And yes, there's a lot of disappointment. Yes, there's a lot of anger and frustration about it. The farm personally is out about $5,000 to $15,000 worth of revenue because of it.
When Fox News joined the circle, he was then joined by CEO of Playlist for Life's number 4s, Deanna Marson, and we both got a great interview from both of them. Playlist for Life and Garrett Farms, we're still going to be having a show on April 20th, regardless, to show community recoup losses for the vendors, and still have an epic 420. Even the wedding that was going to be held at the Misty Mountain location would still be held on 420 at Garrett Farms. It was super cool on how these two organizations pulled together to put on a great show with 11 local bands, and many of the vendors were dedicated to stay and help salvage this what would have been monumental event. This also shows on just exactly how much the cannabis community can pull together when they really put their minds and their hearts to it.
So basically what ended up happening, there really wasn't a whole lot of budgeting done till about halfway through the event planning process. And once that started to realize there just wasn't enough money, at that point we started counting pre-sale tickets. And when the pre-sale tickets didn't offset the cost of the expenses, it ended up just being, we're not going to end up having enough money to pay for this because we can't bank on gate sales. We started seeing things coming down the pipes a few days before the cancellation, but all communication got cut off between the farm and the festival organizers. So we couldn't get any definitive answers. There was no communication or talks going on back and forth between there. And I got informed that the festival was canceled when a vendor called me while I was on my way to pick my kid up from school. Monday or Tuesday? When did it get canceled? It was Tuesday. Sorry, I'm sorry. It was Tuesday.
I was told to come.
This is Deanna, by the way. She's Playlist for Life.
Hey, Mari, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I know you guys are kind of, pulling things together now to still, kind of give people what they want. What's the plan?
So the plan right now, we are just throwing a free event. This is the festival that the fans saved. We had canceled the event. Everything was over and done with. And then all of a sudden, the vendors started showing up, and they started coming out, and they said, we've got nowhere else to be. The band started calling in and saying, we've got nowhere else to play. So Deanna here came in and started setting up, booking all the bands, putting together a playlist. And we said, enough people have spent enough money on this event. The money's out there. I've been talking about money for 2 weeks now. I'm sick and tired of talking about money. Everything's free. Let's do it for free. No vendor fees, no gate fees, no camping fees. Come on out. It's free. We're all out here to have a good time. Let's focus on that and not worry about what got canceled.
I remember that word.
What are you talking about?
And why was this so important for you guys to, carry on and keep moving?
Okay, so when it was abruptly canceled,
I got to stand close to you. I got the microphone.
So, it's basically 3 entities, Playlist for Life Foundation and Garrett Farms. Renting, leasing out this place to a Lynchburg promoter. Okay, so you all know he left us in the lurch. The easiest, fastest thing to do, except because we're here from Roanoke, and all the questions came pouring into us. He was gone. It was only made sense that we had to save it. It had to go on, but all those who wanted to participate, it's a great idea. And like Ian was saying, a lot of things were already in place, and there was no way Playlist for Life or Garrett Farms was going to disappoint Roanoke.
And why do you think this event is so, important for people and that you guys have?
I'm old. I'm going to be 60 next month. Anyway, more baby boomers. So for me, it's more like an alcohol thing. right? So if there's alcohol, safe alcohol holidays, why can't there be one for marijuana?
Do you have any questions?
I already gave you an issue. Nailed the first one, which was, what are your plans moving forward? And I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. I think
Yeah, you want to go back
it's
to
a
that
definite save.
But
You going to
we've been trying for
it's amazing, guys. It's
a year and a half
fantastic what you're doing.
to let Roanoke know that this place exists. Together between the foundation and the farm, we've created an amazing 24-acre outdoor event space with camping. So many things are in place. Power staged. And it's just difficult as an upstart to get started. So when a bigger, promoter came along and wanted to put on this big thing, there was no way we couldn't say no. We're hoping for that exposure.
How many local bands do you think are going to still show?
So right now I'm up to 11.
Wow,
And Jordan B, comedian's going to host it. And like Ian was already telling you, so many of the folks that were also shafted, same thing, reached out, called. Hey, some were able to get booked out, some weren't. Can we do this? Of course you can. So the foundation and the farm, there are some, logistical costs. And we're going to eat it. We have to. We live here. And people that live here expected this event.
And are you guys having vendors still, or do you know how many?
I do believe we have a total of 15.
You counted?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to go with a little bit higher than that, because I know there's some more that are coming out that didn't respond to the Facebook post. We have 2 great food vendors, hot dogs and barbecue. Barbecue starts smoking this tonight. And
Did you find it big?
Yeah, no, they found shoulders and butts, so we still get barbecue. But the barbecue is coming out. A bunch of the vendors are, I'd say, probably close to 60% of the vendors from here. We pulled some vendors from Misty Mountains since they're coming up here, and yeah, bands, music.
Right.
What am I forgetting?
So that many vendors. We also are the only place authorized to have outdoor smoking areas. 21 above areas under the supervision of VCC. So super special.
Yes.
And I just have 2 more questions for y'all.
Sure.
The first one was kind of, moving forward, how special is it? I know you guys don't know what the crowd's going to look like tomorrow, but how special is it to you guys to see that these vendors still come out, the bands are still coming out, and these people are still coming out here?
The unity, okay, it's an energy, right? All events have an energy. And this one has so many, several common threads, right? So we're all going to come here for the common thread anyway, right? One of Virginia's largest 420 festivals. Okay, so there was already that vibe going. Okay, and then of course, you know what I mean? We're all affected negatively by what happened, and now we share in that pain. But we still share in the vibe that this was going to be. So the energy here, if you can come back on Saturday, Friday night or Saturday, you'll see an amazing amount of energy. So there's a place for this.
And then just lastly, moving on to next year, do you guys think you guys will do it again or anything like that?
I would say more than likely. I don't know what the other promoter has planned, okay? Because we've done a lot of events before, I don't think he'll be coming back here.
And just to get a clarification on dates and times, can you guys tell me what's going on this weekend?
Yep, so tomorrow we open the gates to the public at 1 o'clock. We do not have a set playlist for bands or anything like that at this point. As more sign up,
it's called a free jam, free all.
And so we're going to be having this free jam from 1 o'clock till 10 o'clock. And anybody that wants to come in and set up for free camping is welcome to do that. Gates will reopen again at 11 o'clock Saturday morning, and we run till 10 o'clock.
Music starts at noon. Playlist for Life will be here selling non-alcoholic beverages to raise money. It's going to be strictly all donations.
And
Fantastic.
just to get your name, can you say and spell your name and your title?
Deanna, D-E-A-N-N-A, Marcin, M-A-R-C-I-N. I am CEO and co-founder of Playlist for Life.
Thank you guys so much.
Nice.
Thank you both. Seriously, you are, sir?
I am John. I'm the owner of Haskell Cannabis. We are a local group of growers from Chesterfield County, Virginia. We stay within our legal rights and what we're allowed to do. We do have our own strains out, things of that nature. We have some sponsors, Commonwealth Canna, Doswell, Virginia, Dynamico. But yeah, of course, we're going to stick it out here because this is a community. And above all, this plant's brought us together. We're going to sit here. We're going to do what we got to do. It's not a matter of money at this point. Yes, they said we'll get all our refunds. Cool, that's fine. We may not see this for 90 days. That's cool. But we're still up here. We're going to make the best of it. I mean, some of the best events ever happen just this way. Matter of fact, the best example of this would be Woodstock. The original Woodstock was actually done the same way when you get to thinking about it. So it's no different. And it's another part of Virginia 420 history that I'm proud to be of. And I'm going to be here because that's what me and my crew are about. We are about helping others, supporting others, promoting others.
I definitely feel the same way, and I want to first of all say thank you all. What you folks are doing, any vendor that has actually decided to just stay and just make it good is fantastic, and this shows what the actual cannabis community can really do.
That's right.
Yes, sir. It's all about, man.
Right. Would you folks like to say anything else?
The only thing I'd really like to say is, again, this is a community. We are about unity. It's not about who's right, who's wrong, who did this, and who did that. It's about we're coming together, doing something the government doesn't even want us to do, but we're still doing it. It's no different from prohibition, slavery. It's something that's been done. And we're just making another stand and trying to legalize it and make it more accessible, make it more acceptable.
I've been in this fight myself for years and years, so bless you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Now, I did have footage of several of the vendors, but due to audio difficulties, they were unable to be used. However, I would like to still thank Cab Farms, KAB Farms, for speaking with me and sticking it out to spread the love and help make this show the very best. I made a public outcry to all the artists and asked if they wanted to be interviewed and talk about the failed event and how that event affected them. I was super excited to see how many were actually interested, with one of the first bands reaching out to me was the amazing New England reggae band, The Roots of Creation and Grateful Dove Band. Brett Wilson, the founder and frontman, reached out, and I found out that the next stop on their tour was actually the very next day in Falls Church at the historic State Theater. So I decided to head on up and check it out to see what could have been at the 420 Festival and to hear from Brett about his feelings on the broken event. So Brett, when exactly did you find out that there was going to be nothing? I mean, did Winston call you?
I can tell you. No, I can tell you. I got a message from a friend, actually the friend that had hooked us up with the show. We normally don't do a lot of random shows if we don't know the people, just out of abundance of caution. And I'm trying to find the date here, if I can find it. So basically, so I tried to reach out to him. Okay, here we go. So 5:30 on Tuesday.
Wow, I found out personally at 5:39. So
Yeah. So 5:30 on Tuesday, I was texted by my friend. Don't want to put them under the bus, but they basically, they're concert promoters. I think Winston, who I didn't know, was looking for acts to play that had a following, and we're going to help make the event a success musically and ticket wise. So we were reached out to do the festival. Excuse me. It sounded cool. We play a lot of cannabis events. We've played the Boston Freedom Rally. We've done multiple events in Rhode Island. We've done benefits for Normal. We've done benefits for MAPS. I always mess up what it is, but multidisciplinary psychedelic studies, maybe. But it's basically Normal for mushrooms and psychedelics. So basically trying to push forward legislation and just understand that plant medicine, not drugs. Just, I wrote a dissertation as a school project when I was in junior high school about legalizing marijuana. My dad, who's a kind of a centrist, politically, told me I was really young, that he's fiscally conservative. He was a financial manager, but socially liberal, and he showed me a lot of music growing up. But that was something he was like, really shouldn't be telling people what to do with their lives. I think we should legalize marijuana, really all drugs, prostitution, gambling, all that stuff, and just, make money off of it as a state or a governmental institution. And because it's not going to stop anybody to put it on the black market, plus it's unsafe. So since I was a little kid, that was something he instilled in me, just in terms of safety and economics, not really, in terms of, what people's beliefs are, but just what he thought was the wisest thing. And we're from New Hampshire, to live free or die state. Ironically, cannabis is not legal in New Hampshire. It's the only state in New England where it's not legal.
In Maine, the biggest joke about there is that live free or die unless you use cannabis.
Yes.
It's only been recently that they even brought a medical program.
Correct.
And the recreational program is very, very slow rolling out.
Well, so I read that the state has it. So the state controls the liquor in New Hampshire.
Yes.
And what I read
Similar
was
to here.
oh, really? Okay. So what I read was they want to put the weed and recreational cannabis into the liquor stores, which I think is a very strange concept because the liquor stores are all on the Massachusetts border. So, and the dispensaries in Massachusetts are all on the New Hampshire border. So basically the Massachusetts people are coming over to buy tax-free cigarettes and tax-free alcohol.
Yeah.
And then we're going over to Massachusetts to buy weed, but you can't say you're going to bring it back to New Hampshire. So you have to say that you're going to smoke. It's this weird, dynamic. Whatever happens, I, hope it happens in the most safe way. But for me, when I close my eyes and I picture a guy, he pulls over to the side of the road, he gets some nips and, a bottle of tequila or bottle of wine or whatever, and a pack of joints. I don't really see that being the safest thing, because he might knock back a couple nips and smoke the joint rather than just smoking the joint, which, in my opinion, and what I believe science proves, that smoking is much safer. I mean,
much safer.
You should really, I think my girlfriend took a course and they said, ideally you wait about 60 minutes after you smoke a joint, to, kind of like if you have one drink, you wait, ideally. But I don't really think it's too big of a deal if you're smoking a little bit. Obviously, taking some edibles, not a good idea to be driving machinery around. But anyways, so kind of a weird state, but in terms of cannabis, but I've just always been a proponent of it. I have faith that our governor, Sununu, who's a pretty rational human being and backed, against his party's will, the opposition to Trump, which he got a lot of shit for, because he's part of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And he backed the more rational candidate, in my opinion, the more centrist candidate, somebody who could possibly unite people. And he got a little shit for that. So I'm hoping, I heard from a reliable source that he's concerned that his constituents will not like it if he legalizes cannabis, because he ran on
the conservative ticket,
but specifically ran on stopping the opioid epidemic. And so I tried to explain to one of the people in his crew that, don't you know that in Colorado, opioid usage went down by 70%.
70%.
And
same in Maine.
Right. And his person in his circle said, yes, I know, but it's the optics. So it's unfortunately an optics situation. I think he doesn't want to get decimated and by his competition by running on one thing and then what he sees as a pivot, but I think what most rational people would see as a smart thing to do. The weird thing about New Hampshire is it's kind of a no bullshit state. So even though I believe there's recreational cannabis and medicinal cannabis, New Hampshire as a state was kind of like medical cannabis. Like if they had tried to put, most states are medical first and the recreation comes. But if somebody had come to New Hampshire and said, oh, it's a libertarian state, they're kind of no bullshit. Let's skip the medical and like done a little marketing poll, they probably would have figured out like the older people weren't going to buy the medical thing, even though it's real, but to them, it's just weed. And so if we had just gone to them and marketed recreational cannabis, money for schools, and just kind of like very methodical, logical standpoint, I think we would have already have passed it.
I agree.
It's just, for some reason, that state is just kind of, I don't know. It's not like Vermont, like very holistic kind of, it's just a different animal, you know?
You're right.
We are where we are. But anyways, that's my story with, cannabis and in terms of, playing festivals and being involved in the
Which is
community.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so after you heard from a source
Yes.
that the event was actually pulled,
Yes.
did you grab your phone and say, hey, Winston, what's going on? Or did you-
Not immediately. I talked with the person for a little while and they were like, yeah, just, he just told me he's pulling the plug on it. He was looking for, 50 grand earlier this morning to try to cover, what he needed to cover, in terms of expenses. And the person was like, I don't have that to cover you. And then he moved on, I believe, and then said later in the day, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, went back to them, was like, I'm canceling it. And they were like, if you don't believe me, check the Facebook. And then I had seen the Facebook
one like that I knew that was going to show up because I actually went on to your website and I could see your tour,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I
So
mean,
it was actually listed.
we did what we normally do, which is, spend ads and post and, tell our friends, put it on the email list, all that stuff. And I think we had quite a bit of people that were excited to see both our projects, Roots of Creation and Grateful Dub. But I mean, I don't know how many years they've done this over there, if this was the first year, if they've done it before, but
This was the third year, which is why after the second year, which did very, very well, nobody thought that this was going to happen like this.
either try to figure out something, a cancellation fee, or go for the full amount just so that our business wasn't flatlined.
Well, from what I was told, Ian said that that most of the bands had a 30-day clause. That means if Winston didn't cancel within 30 days,
correct.
you guys got paid anyway.
Which is because it's protection, so that, because if you have 30 days, like you might be able to find some other work that day.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a lot of time, like if you have 2 days, you're not finding any more work.
Yes.
So
luckily for you guys, you actually had this to go to.
right. So
Luckily.
we were in New Jersey, so we opted to just stay in New Jersey for a day and then drive down here to State Church. But ironically, the Virginia Festival was the first thing we had booked on this run. So
Yeah.
the little insight into how the music business operates is you can either book a tour or you can book a tour around what's called an anchor, which would be a festival that's going to be a pretty good event that's, not some amazing amount of income, but is enough to be able to be like, oh, okay, we can book a couple other dates around this. This is good. So ironically, our tour was anchored or initially around this festival.
It was supposed to be huge.
Right. So that when I forgot about that, but I guess it is kind of ironic that we built something around something that it imploded. But it's okay because we had a great show tonight. People showed up, and the tour's been amazing and successful, and we got to have an unplanned.
Amazing, dude.
Thank you so much. My biggest thing for me, I would say, my biggest takeaway was I've been playing a long time. You're from Maine, so you've been around the block. We've been doing the original music thing for a really long time.
Years.
15 years,
Yeah.
20 years. I don't remember. And been doing this Grateful Dub thing.
Roots of creation up north is huge.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And from New Hampshire up all the way over there, California, we have a great fan base. And then 2018, we put out Grateful Dub as a fun project, an album, and then it's turned into its own band. So, we've been doing this tour, doing both the projects. It's been super awesome. But I guess what irked me the most about this situation is typically you'll get a message to a booking agent or a message to a manager, or maybe even the venue will reach out to you personally,
But not a Facebook post.
send you a message, even if it's not a personal message. Maybe you'll be blind carbon copied on
Yes.
a message, and it's like, just a heads up, we're putting out this statement. This is how I'm going to handle it. I lost my investor. There's nothing I can do about it. Maybe something he won't put out to the public, but just a little explanation. So you're like, oh, okay. Like, I get where you're coming from. You're a human being. I'm a human being. Like, this is understandable. But this is the first time in history that anything has ever been canceled, to my recollection. And we've done about 150 shows a year. That's been canceled by notification on Facebook.
Facebook, yes.
For the first time.
On a side note, I have to say he is an amazing talent, and he gave a great interview, not only about the show, but why he's involved in Canna-friendly events, the history of the Grateful Dub project, and how it became a headlining show that it is today. Now, it was definitely a fantastic time, and I know why now, that they were indeed the headliner for Thursday night at Garrett Farms. So I want to thank all of the Grateful Dub band, Roots of Creation, for talking with me, especially you, Brett Wilson. I wish you all many years of continued success. Stay lifted, guys. Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode with 40 minutes of footage from that show. It's going to be the opening of both sets. So I'm super happy to bring you just a glimpse of this amazing band. Be sure to follow them and grab all their music on your favorite online music vendors such as Amazon Music, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, they're on it. And if you can catch them in person, it's going to be an amazing live show that you won't soon forget. I'm going to be doing an interview this coming week with Lopaka Roots, and I'm also hoping to catch up with a few of the other artists so we can get their thoughts as well. So stay tuned for those possible Canna Vibe segments. And that's my time right now. But I'm going to leave you with a sample of this amazing show that was held at the State Theater in Falls Church, Virginia. And remember, part 2 of this episode will be out tomorrow. And once again, I'm your guy on the couch, joining me with Sherman the Cat, reporting from the Virginia Cannabis Connection and Pro Cannabis Media. Until next time, everybody, stay lifted.
tonight, Virginia. Here we go. Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, put them higher. Touch the sky and keep them high, and then we spark the fire. Yeah, it's a party-o, spliffin' Bacardi-o, kick like a rodeo, sweat like a cardio. We getting naughty, me and my shawty, back to school sororities and party. If you wanna get high with us, touch the sky with us, say yeah. That was pretty good. That wasn't too shabby. But can I get a little John style like, yeah? Can I get a Bob Marley style like, yeah? If you wanna get high with us, touch the sky with us, say yeah. If you wanna get lit with us, shoot the shit with us, say yeah. Damn, it feels good to be alive when you live and feeling high. Throw your hands into the sky and light it up, light it up. Damn, it feels good to be alive when you live and feeling high. Throw your hands into the sky and light it up, light it up, light it up, light it up. Yes, Virginia. Let's make some noise for our local crew group out there. We got Patrick on the sound. And we have our lovely lady on the lights tonight. Make some noise for the local crew. At this point in time, could you please black out the stage? And Virginia, can you be the light show tonight? If you have a lighter, light that shit up. If you have a phone, light that shit up. Falls Church, you are the light show. DMV, you are the light show. DC, you are the light show. Baltimore, you are the light show. Get 'em up, get 'em up, get 'em up, get 'em up, 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 up. That's what I'm talking about. This is beautiful. Damn, it feels good to be alive, but you live and feeling high. Throw your hands into the sky and light it up. Come on, light it up. Damn, it feels good to be alive when you live and feeling high. Throw your hands into the sky and light it up, light it up, light it up. We'll see you guys in 15 minutes. Stick around. Grateful Dead, reggae infused tribute to the Grateful Dead's up next. We'll be right back.